Okay, how's everybody doing today? I've got an update video for you guys, a series of unfortunate events. Uh, so I made that Proxmox video with my Intel NUC, and unfortunately, about 2 weeks after I created that video, that freaking NUC decided to take a crap. Which is not terrible to say the least because I've had that Nook for about 2.5 to 3 years, and I had gotten it used, so I'm not totally sure exactly how old it was. I know it ran in a pretty hot environment before I had it, so it kind of sucks because I liked the form factor that I had and what I was doing, but it wasn't the best in terms of, I guess, a lot of people kind of frown upon using USB drives as a backup system. But I had those two 5 terabyte WD drives, and they did just fine. But I ended up selling those two 5 terabyte drives, and I've got a completely new system that I'm actually going to be showing you guys and walking you through. I've got some hard drives that I'm going to be installing in this thing, and I just kind of want to go over a little bit of series of events which has led me up to this point. So I'd actually found a really good deal on an old, or not an old, but it was an i5 8400 CPU, and it was in an HP box. It was like an HP Envy, and it had the case, it had the power supply, the motherboard, it had 16 gigs of RAM, and it was like $45. And I contacted that guy and I was like, hey, I'm going to come pick this up right now. And he's like, okay, sure. So I went to go pick it up because I was going to make that my new server, my new file server. Well, I got it and it worked, except it wouldn't, like if you plugged more than one hard drive into it, it just like would crash. And I was like, okay, this is weird. So I did some playing around with the RAM, moving them around, tried some other RAM that I had. And for some reason, it didn't like it. And then I updated the BIOS, which kind of sucked. I had to install Windows temporarily just to update the stupid BIOS because I hate HP is stupid. So I updated the BIOS, and when I did that, it completely bricked the motherboard. Couldn't even use it anymore. I took a chance, and I bought another 1150. Is it 1151? I think, yeah, it was an 1151 motherboard. It's an ASRock, which is in there right now. And I did that because the i5 processor is still a really good processor. So I put that processor in the new motherboard that I got to get this thing up and running, because I already had the RAM, I already had the power supply, all of that. And it was the freaking HP motherboard. So, which is fine because that motherboard only had like 3 SATA ports on it. And I mean, it did have 2 M.2 NVMe drives, but I went ahead and got this thing built, and I'm going to be showing you guys. I've got this is an 8 terabyte Toshiba drive. I got this as a crazy deal. It was like 75% off. I got this thing for like $52 shipped to me. This is like a $200 drive, brand new. It's got the warranty. And then I got this used. I'm going to take a chance on this. It's from a company called Go Hard Drive. This is an 8 terabyte WD Gold. It's still sealed in the, well, they probably resealed it, but this comes with a 3-year warranty, so I'm hoping both of these still work when I plug them in, and where you guys are going to find out with me. Because I'm going to move the camera over here, but first I want to show you guys. So this is actually a Fantex case. I don't know, it's a little got fingerprints all over it. This is a Fantex case, and this is a little bit older. I think this is like a 2012 model case, and I apologize with the lights on there. Let me take the glass thing off. Yeah, this is a 2013 case, and I also got a hell of a deal on this. This is still, I think you could find this online for around about $180, and this guy sold it to me for $30. It even still had the box in it, which was amazing, and he had the toolkit that came with it and everything. I've just been making out like a bandit with some of these deals. I think that's just the world is working in my favor because I've had such some issues with my server. So, man, I'm just really messing stuff up here. I haven't filmed something this big on camera, so let me show you guys what it is. It's an ASRock board. I've got the boot drive in there, which is the team group. It's an M.2 NVMe drive, and then I have a by4 PCI adapter for the 2 terabyte drive, and then I have the this is another M.2 by 1 PCI, and this is the M.2 that was in the HP computer. And this is actually a I'm probably butchering the name, but it's a Coxia. It's actually made by Toshiba. It's the Toshiba flash that's on here. I know Linus Tech Tips has been talking about them. He's had some sponsors with that brand on his channel before, so which is weird because I haven't actually heard of them until recently. And then we've got the two. This is some I want to say it's ADATA 16 gigs of RAM. It's like I said, it's an i5 8400. I've got a brand new Noctua fan for the cooler here. And then on the front, for cooling, I've got two Noctua 140 millimeter fans, and I've got two of them there. And the way that this works is that basically I've got these two drives that on the back side, and I'll show you guys here in a second, but the 500 gig, this is going to be the scrap area, which I call it the scrap area, and this is where I'm going to be using Mega to do some folder synchronization in Linux for all of my devices and my wife's devices, so that it has its own drive. And then I'm using Free File Sync on Linux to sync everything from this drive over to everything else. And on the back side, I'll go ahead and show you, and it's really cool. It's got this little window. I don't know how well you can actually see it, but it's got this window where you can actually see the inside. And I've got two 2 terabyte team group SSDs, and these are running in RAID 0, and this is actually my main network share drive. And everything that gets put on here is going to be backed up to my two 8 terabyte drives. So I'm going to get those things installed here, and I'll kind of show you guys, the process. It's not, you guys have seen hard drives being installed, at least I hope so. But then I'm going to then get OBS installed and show you guys all the install process and formatting them and all that. It's not a big video or anything. It's just an update to my file server, and because of everything that has happened. So let me move this back over here. And yeah, and this is the Toshiba. I've already opened it. I put it back in here just to do an unboxing with the video. But yeah, this is a Toshiba N300 8 terabyte. I've always liked Toshiba drives. I've never really had an issue with them. I've never had any issue with them, to be honest. In a long time ago, I used to have issues with Western Digital, and I preferred Seagate at the time, and then I had some Seagate drives that died, and then I switched over to Western Digital, and then I don't have any issues with Western Digital. I guess a lot of people do because of the whole SMR and CMR scandal thing that they did. But both of these are CMR drives. Not that it really matters because of the way that I'm going to be using them. I'm just using these as they're not going to be in a RAID system or anything like that. It's not going to be ZFS. These are just going to be Linux file system ext4 drives. And it's basically a dumb backup, in terms of, how some people consider their RAID systems or their NAS backups or anything like that. And the reason for that is because if one drive ever goes down, or if something happens to the computer, I want to be able to take this drive out and put it in another computer or PC or an enclosure or something and still access the data. To my knowledge, there's not an easy way to do that with a ZFS system that has a massive pool of drives or anything like that. So now I'm just kind of rambling on. I'm going to go ahead and get these things installed and then switch over to the OBS and recording that process. So yeah. Okay, so I got one of the drive cages out of this. There's the other one. These are pretty cool because you just undo these little tabs and you can put the new hard drive in and get this thing out of the package. Do a sniff test. It smells like smells like alcohol, to be honest. Yeah, this thing looks beautiful. So let's get this put on here, and you line up these holes as best as you can. I know it's kind of hard to see. Okay, so got that one figured out. It was just being difficult. So this is the Toshiba. I'm going to put this one in the top slot. Wipe it down so I don't have fingerprints all over it. Get this puppy in. And then let's do the power. Okay, so I'm in my Garuda distribution here, and this is what I've actually settled on instead of using Proxmox. And the reason for that is because I can run virtual machines inside of this, and I found a good VNC server application. It's called KRFP, and this works pretty well, or I'm sorry, KRFB. And you can set this to start whenever the system starts so that you can VNC into it. So now that I got those hard drives installed, let's go to KDE Partition Manager and see. Okay, so man, I've got a lot of stuff going on here. Okay, so there's the Toshiba drive. And here's the Western Digital Gold. So you can see there's nothing on them. They need to be, formatted. And I'm going to make them both GPT, and I'm going to make them both exFAT4, or exFAT, I'm sorry, ext4. I'm so used to saying exFAT because I'm, used to a Windows operating system, but this is so I'm just going to call this WD Gold because it's the only drive I have. I'm going to set it to everyone. Hit apply. Yes. It's going to take it a little bit. I'm not sure how long it's going to take on an 8 terabyte drive. Okay, so it was actually quite a bit faster than those 5 terabyte drives, and that's probably because they're plugged directly into a SATA port. And once that's finished, I'm going to do the same thing for the Toshiba. And I don't know, you might be able to hear it chuttering in the background there. Label, we're just going to call this, let's call it Toshi. And I'm going to give it to everyone. Okay, apply. I didn't even see the total time it took on the WD drive. But to me, it sounds like the Toshiba is actually quieter than the WD Gold. And the WD might be a little bit faster. I'll have to go back and look at the video. 38 seconds, okay. Okay, so both of those are formatted. And then I'm going to show you guys some things here, what I'm doing. I've got, this is my Mega Sync. I've got Mega Sync plugged into one of my, so I've got the scrap area. That's where that's where I have my Mega Sync. This is my 500 gig NVMe drive plugged into one of the PCI slots. And then there's the WD Gold, the Tashi, the Cardia. That's what I'm going to use for like VMs. That's the 2 terabyte NVMe drive. The Vault, that is my 2 terabyte share that I'm sharing over the network. And then I feel like I'm missing. No, I'm not. So those are my drives. And then I've got Free File Sync. And this is a pretty cool program. I've got this I've got to create some more syncs and shares here, but there's another program called Zeet. And what this does is it's basically a graphical user interface for your cron or cronny jobs, because on Arch it uses cronny. So yeah, okay, so you can see here I've got the i5 8400. I've got 16 gigs of RAM. I'm using KDE Plasma. This is Garuda Linux with the this is just the standard KDE. This isn't the gaming edition because I'm not really gaming on this. So but if you go to if you install, what was it? I think it was just cronny. Yes. And it's already installed. It doesn't need to do anything. So I'm not going to do that. That is basically the front end or the back end for Zeet. So that has to be installed for this to work. Once it's installed, you can actually take this command and you can run it, or you can copy it into the command area for this. So you can see where there's the command. If you just look online for Free File Sync, if you're having any issues, because sometimes Free File Sync installs to different areas. What this is basically like an alternative to SyncToy that was on Windows. Now, you can use rsync, but I like doing stuff a little bit differently. I prefer to have my different, because I'm always changing drives and moving stuff around. So I want to have a little bit more of a graphical user interface so that I can copy, stuff around. So yeah. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it set up so that everything on my network share copies over to these two 8 terabyte drives. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So